Aloha, you guys. Shalom. You can see the mountains in the background there. Just highlighted them so you can see. Ah. As usual, I'm tuning in from the lovely Sedona, Arizona. And I don't know if you guys know this about me yet, but I'm about to let you know that when I'm not studying or I'm not learning, I feel like I'm dying. When I'm learning, when I'm studying, I'm growing, I'm thriving, that's when I really feel alive. And so this is a huge part of who I am. It's a huge part of my path. It's a huge part of why I'm here sharing what I share with you guys. So with that said, I spend a lot of my time, my free time, which is very limited, I spend a lot of that time studying. I spend a lot of that time researching, reading, writing, and I love to share this path because we're not here to do it all alone. So something I wanted to share today is a topic that is often on my mind. It's something that I'm always trying to go deeper with, and it's something I journal about constantly. And this is the topic of moving from vice to virtue, transforming vice into virtue. What does that mean? It's actually relatable to all of us, anyone, no matter what your age is, man, woman, boy, girl, doesn't matter who or where you are. This is always applicable. And a way to look at it simply is like this. Where in my life am I not being my highest self? Where in my life am I exhibiting vice, meaning frustration or anger or jealousy or dishonesty, impatience? We can all relate because we all, no matter who you are or where you are, within time and space, we all have these moments because we're human and we share that in common. And so this is applicable to anyone. This is the work that we all come here to do. We all have a unique purpose, but even back of that, there's a purpose that we all share. First and foremost, we come here, all of us, for the same reason, and that's to cultivate more light in this world. Okay, so behind all of the names and the places and the faces and the words is the light, and that's why we're here. Okay, and the mistakes and the darkness and the shadow, it's all part of that light. Because all that we do in those spaces of darkness and pain and suffering ultimately gets transformed into light. It's inevitable. It's just a matter of when. How much longer do we need to go through this lesson and feel the pain so that we have the potential to transform that into its opposite, right? Because pain is potential. But the only thing that lasts from all of this, from this entire experience, is the light. It's the only thing that's eternal. So everything we do, right, should be in remembrance of this mission of bringing more light into this world. And this is what the Kabbalah teaches. And this is what essentially every religion and culture at its roots was formed and intended to teach. So why should we for a moment, even for a moment, forget this? When we remember that we're here to do that the cultivation of light is the only thing worth our efforts. If we don't remember this, and a lot of us forget, and a lot of us remember, forget. But when we don't remember it, and I'm speaking to myself and I'm speaking to all of us, we are at risk for forgetting who we are, forgetting our purpose, feeling depressed, suicidal, alone. We forget and we separate. And again, that's okay, because whatever work we do in that space, whatever we experience in that space, it becomes learning in hindsight. It becomes wisdom later. Again, it's inevitable. But let us not forget why we're here. Let us not forget this purpose that we all share before it turns into the individual life that we see before us. We come here originally with the mission to cultivate more light. Whatever you do to create more light, and more light just means more virtue, okay? Because things like honesty, patience, trust, kindness, anything that's a part of compassion, it emits a light, it radiates a light that glows and grows, and that light that expands continues on for eternity. So whatever we can do, or whatever we have to do to get to that place of being able to express that light through our own being, through our senses, whatever we can do, that's what we should be doing. That's our mission. And then it becomes individualized when we consider the details then of the material layer of the situation, okay? So for example, Serena over here and I, there's no Serena here, I'm just imagining a situation, okay? Serena and I, we both have the same purpose of creating and cultivating more light in this world. I may do that through social work, and she may do that through, operations. Maybe she's a doctor. It doesn't matter. You have to first come back to our shared purpose, cultivating light, and then from there ask yourself, how can I do this in my life with who I am, with what I came here with the skill sets that I have, with the skill sets that maybe I want to develop because my soul is guiding me toward a specific hobby or a specific project or a specific career. You got to tune in to you, to yourself. And your inner guidance system will guide you to those people, those faces, those places, those situations, those words, that information that you need to be guided to in order to uniquely carry out the purpose that we all share. It just looks different on the outside because we're all doing it, coming from a different place and doing it with different variables involved. But we're all here to cultivate this light. So with that said, the title of this video is transforming I don't know if that's exactly what I called it, but something like transforming vice into virtue. And what that means is transforming the yucky feelings into something that's progressive. Transforming those feelings that don't feel good, those feelings that you carry as shame and guilt and fear and anxiety, which is all of us, transforming that into something that's going to work for you, not only pull you out of this hole, but us out of this hole so that we could be whole. That's what it does when we do this work together, when we do it individually, and then wow, when we do it together. Imagine that. Okay, so again, transforming vice into virtue is not some crazy otherworldly practice. It's something we can do. It's something we can access right here, right now. All of us. And again, it's just transforming those yucky feelings into good. So first of all, we have to start with looking at the fear that we have, because this is within the collective mind and it's certainly within the individual. Okay, so let me know in the comments if this resonates with you. Please feel free to share your personal experience. First, we have to look at where are we afraid of facing the shadow? Where are we afraid of facing the vices? Where are we not wanting to look at our reflection because it's ugly, because we're embarrassed, because we're shameful, because we're not ready to let go of that demon? What are those areas in your life? And really not only not being afraid of facing them, but let's get to a level of embracing them, looking for them, not just waiting for the rug to be pulled out from under us, as is inevitable because the universe is going to do that, but looking for where we can pull the rug out with awareness, with intention, and with strategy. Okay, so it's about, first of all, this is the first step. Looking in your life at where am I unwilling to look? Where's that cognitive dissonance? Where have I just not been willing to look? Start there, because you'll be surprised how much work you can do right there. And this is foundational, so you can't even move ahead until you do this, okay? But you'll be surprised that when you just sit down with the intention, true, pure-hearted intention, to uncover those things, you'll be surprised what you'll uncover. We spend so much of our energy as humans all day putting up veils. It actually takes less work to be enlightened or to be self-realized, to actualize who you truly are. It actually is organic and it takes less work. We spend so much of our mental, emotional, physical energy all day trying to cover up our own tracks. Who are we hiding from? There's only one here. We're hiding from ourselves. So this is a futile pursuit, obviously, and we're all doing this. So let's together look at this. This is one of those things where I'm telling you, look at the things you're ignoring in your own life. This is one of those things where we're ignoring in our collective life. So how about we collectively, remember we're in this together, and collectively heal this. Let's stop. Let's stop putting up veils over our own stuff and stop hiding from our own shadows. And not just stop hiding, but say enough is enough. The game is over. Like, ring the alarm. So go straight toward, okay? So we're right there, you're transforming a vice into virtue when you do this first step of facing those things in your life you weren't even willing to look at. Right there, you move ignorance to awareness. And that's how you transform vice into virtue. So when you start there, you have a solid start, okay? So you first do the work. I'm excited to find the vice, okay? And something you can look at too in our collective programming is this idea as a collective society where we're like, oh my God, this is a hotbed of vice. This world is so dark, it's horrible, there's so much bad, how could it ever be good, right? A lot of us, we have this program, or at least deep inside, right? It's a part of the collective consciousness. So even if you're a new age light worker, whatever you want to call yourself, and you're like, I don't have that program, look again. Look more closely, because we're conditioned so easily, and the ego will trick us into thinking, I know I'm not conditioned. But that's, stay alert, especially when you think that you're good. Oh, that's when the universe is going up. They're ready for an initiation, So really be aware that there is absolutely a collective mental program that wants us to believe that this world is bad and that there's so much vice. And we don't want to resist our negative thought patterns. We certainly don't want to look the other way. So let's look straight at it together. What is that? Okay, it's a hotbed of vice. Well, we don't want to just go, no, it's not, and shove that away. We want to go, okay, so what do we do about it? Sure, I could see the bad everywhere. So let me at least make that observation serve the highest good. You don't ever want to just deny anything, because everything has truth within it. You want to take it and ask, how can I sanctify this opportunity? Even separation is divine when we use it in the name of the Creator. So with that said, how can we look at the world and say, yeah, there is a lot of bad here. And how can I see the opportunity there? First of all, we want to look at it like this. Like, let's pretend we're in your head right now, okay? And we're talking to self, okay? Wow, the world really is a hotbed of vice. Okay, cool. What do I do about it? All these opportunities. Well, let me see. Every time there's something bad happening, for lack of a better word, okay, you just see something, you judge it as bad, or even in your own mind, you see something as bad. First of all, you want to tell yourself, anything that I do from this space will only serve me as a lesson in hindsight. Like, it's okay. It doesn't even matter that there are bad things, because you guys, at the end of this lifetime, it's like game over. All that stuff fades away. You have to learn again. You have to pick up where you left off. Okay, none of the bad stuff goes with you beyond the grave. It literally cannot be elevated to that next place, which reflects, our source of eternity. Okay, this space, this eternal place where we return again and again. Do you think this bad stuff comes with us? No. So it's okay. It's okay. It's temporary. All that's unreal fades away. If it doesn't match that eternal frequency, it won't go with. So you may as well let loose a little bit. Let go right here, right now. Be fully in this reality, but don't be trapped by it. Be here, but know you're not of this place. Okay, so first of all, we're looking at all this vice and we're going, wait. And then we go, what can I do with it? Okay? And then we see the opportunity here, because we recognize that the bad won't last. So what do I do about it? I'm going to go into these situations that I used to think were scary, or these situations that I wanted to avoid, because now I know that that's where the opportunity lies. And I'm going to go into what is an abundance of opportunities, right? I'm going to go into this vice because there's so much of it in the world. I'm going to go straight toward it and I'm going to transform it. I'm not just going to go, oh my God, there's so much anger here. I'm going to go, okay, where can I insert acceptance? I'm not going to go, oh my God, there's so much dishonesty here, right? Whether that's in here or in here in our world. There's no in and out, really. There's no in and out. There's just here now. Okay, so whether it's inside my head or it's in our collective field, if it's there, I'm not just going to complain about it. And I'm not just going to wait for it to do something about itself. I am a part of it. I'm one with it, and it's up to me. It's my mission. Okay, so wherever it's happening inside your head or in our world, it's an opportunity for you to go in and neutralize that frequency. It's an opportunity for you to go in and neutralize that frequency. And what does that mean, neutralize the frequency? Wherever there's something bad, you want to ask yourself, what is the opposite that's hiding within? Okay, because one of the principles of hermetics, the opposite always lies hidden within. So don't be fooled. All the things that look bad, that's just the shell. It's temporary, it's impermanent. Kabbalah, for example, would say it like this, okay? The bad that you're perceiving is the shell, but what it holds within it is the opposite, light. So you have to crack that shell, so to speak, and you have to release the light. This is how the Kabbalah explains it. But there are so many different languages to explain the same information because it's a part of cultures across the world. It's all of our roots, is this truth. It's within all things. Okay, so we need to ask ourselves, how do we look through the vice to the virtue? Okay, and then when you get to that point of seeing what the opposite is, okay, say I'm staring at impatience. I want to go, okay, well, whatever's coming from this place of impatience, it's all futile. It's not going to serve me because whatever born of this frequency will die with my body because it's temporary. It's not real. So any time I spend in this frequency of vice better serve me. It better. I'm going to sit with this crappy feeling of a lack of patience just so long as it's going to serve me to learn my lesson so that I can come to that space of being capable of being patient. And if I spend 1 second longer than needed, then that's on me. We only need to be in the frequency of vice for as long as it's going to serve us once we inevitably return to virtue. So vice is justified. It's a part of our human experience. It's beautiful, and it's the triggers that call our awareness in, our conscious awareness, so that we can allow our will to be empowered to align with divine will. So we can then act on it, so that we can direct our senses in the appropriate ways to serve the one, to serve the all. So vices are justified so long as we understand that as long as we're in that frequency is equal to the proportion to which we have the opportunity to be in its opposite, okay? To the degree at which we contract is the same degree to which we have the opportunity to expand. That's it. So don't be afraid of the vice. The more you hesitate to face it, or the more you hesitate to embody it and just express it as it's asking to be, that reflects your own doubt, okay? That amount of hesitation that you do to face the shit is reflecting your own doubt. It's reflecting your own lack of compassion and understanding for the way that not only the world operates, but the way your mind and your heart and your being operates. So remember, the degree to which you are unwilling to face the vice or just lean into it is to the degree of which you are obviously unaware of what you're here to do. Because if you remain aware of who you are, and babe, you're a star. If you remain aware of who you are and what you're here to do, you will not hesitate. You will say, where the is that vice? Where that? Because I want to face it now. Because I want that transformation now. Because I want to do what I came here to do, to be this ultimate magician and alchemist. And so I'm gonna run toward it. Okay, maybe not run. We don't need to be masochistic here, okay? But I'm gonna ask for the universe to reveal this to me now. I'm gonna ask. And when you ask, that is a symbol of your willingness to participate with the organic cycles and seasons of nature. And the universe supports this. The Creator supports this. So when you say, please show me now, the Lord has mercy on you, because, right, God helps those who help themselves. When you ask for it, it's like you remain aware, you remain on your own toes. It's not like there's some God up there who's gracing you with a gift. Like, oh, you asked, so I'll be kind now. No, it's a metaphysical concept. It's like karma. It comes directly back to you. Your openness reflects, and the universe reflects back that openness to you, and nature reflects that openness to you. It's you. You're doing it because you're one with this almighty force. So when you say, please, I'm ready, show me, that's also a reflection of you just remaining present and aware, because it's gonna be shown. Oh, it's gonna be shown. Inevitably so. But you shouting that out loud, or even just in your mind and saying that to the universe, declaring that you're open to receive, changes the game. Changes the game. Going back to the topic of the video, there are ways that you can focus on these vices and virtues. There are many different lists out there of the different vices and virtues, and there are long lists and there are short lists, but a good method is just reducing them to the seven deadly sins, as you may have heard of. Okay, so you want to reduce it to the 7. It makes it a little bit of an easier system. The first thing you want to remember is that God is often referred to, creator, whatever you want to call it, is often referred to as the all virtuous light of compassion. So if compassion is the all virtuous light, when that original light came through the prism and broke up into everything you see around you now, right? When the one came into creation as the many, these virtues of the one all virtuous ring of light, of compassion, broke up and became the different virtues, okay? It's like the ocean of compassion and the rivers are the virtues. They all lead back to the one same place. They are all fragments, frequencies that together complete and make up the song or frequency of compassion. A child could understand this. That's what we need. Simple. Okay, so the all virtuous light of compassion became the many virtues. Therefore, you can ride any of them back to source. Now, why would we want to use a list, for example, of 200 virtues? That's way too complex. We want to narrow it down to make this technology accessible, and we want to reduce it to the lowest common denominator, right? So I like 7. There's a reason that many religions and cultures or esoteric writings, teachings will use the number 7. 7 contains within it the secrets of success, and in ancient Egypt was known as the number of the conqueror or the charioteer, the chariot being the Merkava, or as you might know, Merkaba, the chariot for ascension. So 7 is an awesome number to use in the pursuit of spiritual success. It represents spiritual attainment, in short. Okay, so you might know them as lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. These are like the most common, so I think it's a really great starting point. And those transfer into their opposites. Okay, so each of these vices has a virtue that is the neutralizing force. Okay, that's like your ammo. It's like your light power that you wield within, so that whenever you detect vice, again, whether it's in here or in our world, you know what to do with that light. You got to shine it, okay? And you have to ask, what is the neutralizing force? So really, you can shine any of the virtues on it because they all have within it the frequency of compassion, right? But in order to be the most efficient with your energies and the most specific, you want to get as specific as possible by identifying what the vice is exactly. Is it greed? Is it wrath? Is it lust? Which one is it? Because there are particular codes that will inform you as to what the best way to respond is, okay? So they each have a force that will neutralize them. And the most efficient way of neutralizing them is choosing that one. You can just throw compassion at it, but we want to go a little bit deeper and ask, no, what specific keynote does this situation need in order to most gracefully and efficiently disarm it, okay? So I'm going to go through this list of 7 because I think that it will be really helpful. I'm also doing this sort of like I'm sitting on 2 rocks right now, you guys, like on a hill. So it's kind of hilarious. I'm laughing at myself in my head. I think going over this short list is also very helpful for me because I get to say it out loud and share it in the presence of we have 62 viewers right now. So that's cool. I know the power of accessing that collective mind, the hive mind. And so that's my favorite part of doing these videos with you guys is that collective power. And y'all help me move through my experience in a huge way. So I'm going to read this out loud. I was going to just journal about it quietly today, but I thought I'm going to go sit in the trees and share this with my people around the world. So that y'all can offer your worldly, universal spirit and wisdom to this process. Always better together. Always better together. It's always better when we're together. Okay, so we're going to start with lust. When you feel lust, when you feel overcome by this carnal desire, first of all, it's always key to stay present. You have to stay present through all of your experiences or you'll never be able to detect the vice, to then go through the proper analysis, self-analysis of, how do I now respond? How do I direct this energy? How do I direct this emotion, this thought? So first you got to stay present. That's the key. Otherwise you can't even enter this portal of work. Okay, so lust. When you feel that energy come over you and you have to remind yourself, okay, let me stay present and let me ask, what is this energy doing for me right now? If I give in to this lust, the act that I will do or the thoughts that I will think or the feelings I will feel, is it going to be for our shared highest good as one or is it not? Remember, you guys, I taught this word some videos back, or many times I've mentioned this. There's a word in Hebrew, it's lishma. Everything is either lishma, for the sake of the Creator, or lo lishma, not for the sake of the Creator. So when you feel that lust, we're starting with lust, and you stay present, you ask yourself, what is that feeling? First of all, don't say, oh, or like try to run away from it. In fact, it's okay to go, that's a natural response, but don't run away from that feeling. Ask yourself why, because there's important information there. When there's a strong feeling and response, there's important information there. Don't run away. Geez, no, that's the gold right there. That's the ticket. So stay present and don't shy away from your own reflection and ask yourself, whoa, what's that? Is that shame I'm detecting? Is that guilt I'm detecting? Ooh, you're like a cosmic Sherlock writing that down. Like, all right, I got some more work to do here. You know what I'm saying? So when that lust comes up, pay attention to your response. And then move ahead. Don't get stuck there. You're better than that. Get your information and proceed. You're capable. You're so powerful. So then you move ahead and you go, okay, now let me examine, and this is the card number 6 in the tarot called the Lovers, aka the 2 paths. This is that archetype that lives within you. This is this part speaking up. It says, all right, we have options. We have choices. That's what the Lovers card is about, you guys, number 6. I don't know if y'all knew that. Okay, that's the archetype in you that faces choice and a fork in the road, which is every moment. It's a choice to be alive. So when you're feeling the vice, in this case lust, you ask, all right, I got choices here. How am I going to use this? The key to unlocking the initiation within card 6 that lives within you is asking, which choice is going to serve Lishma? Which choice is going to serve the Creator in the best way? Look, all choices lead there anyway. All paths lead back there anyway. But with your knowledge and with your intuition, okay, with your polarities, your heart and your mind, where you are at in time and space, in that moment, with what you got, what's your best decision you can make in that moment? The paths appear to be many, but they're one. So it's not really about the details and the faces and the names and what that path looks like on the material plane. It's about the opportunity that lies therein for your expansion, which is our expansion. And only you can tap into that feeling in that moment of which choice is going to be the best, with conviction, but also with a level of healthy detachment, knowing that all paths lead home. Okay, so this is the proper way that the archetypes can guide you through these feelings of vice. They help you, first of all, by taking your hand and telling you not to be afraid. Let's move toward it. Then you stay aware and the vices come up, and in this case we started with lust. You start to feel that lust, and then call on the cards, yo. And I'm not talking about your deck, I'm talking about the cards that live in your heart and your mind. Call on your archetypal alliance. Get my book, it teaches you how to do this. Reach out to me, I'll show you how to do it. If you need some extra assistance, I can help you one-on-one. But this is work that needs to be done, all of us, because it's guidance that's right there reaching out to us, and we're looking for it, but it's there. It's right here now. Okay, so then you feel the vice, and then you call upon your archetypes, and these angles of perspective come up, just like the Lover's card, like I said, or maybe the Emperor comes up, or maybe the High Priestess comes up, and they all have a message for you. So it would be wise to, especially when you're just beginning to access the alliance, I call it, is to start always with the Fool and move in sequential order. Go to 1, the Magician, 2, the High Priestess, 3, the Empress, 4, the Emperor. And move through the wheel, as I call it. Not just the, you don't want to do the minor arcanum. The major arcanum is enough. Cards 0 through 21 in modern decks, or 0 through 22 in some decks. And then just do a whole circuit. But go through and ask, what would each of these have to say? And what that reflects is, like in Native, and it's all cultures. Let's take a Native American culture, for example. You have the talking stick, and every person on the council gets a chance with the talking stick to be heard, and then once it goes all around, everybody's perspective is heard and understood. Everybody's seen and understood and respected and honored, and they come to a unified decision. That's essentially what you're doing, which is what we all need to be doing, listening to every voice and being fair so that we can come to a unified place within ourselves, so that we can reflect that into our world, so that we could live in a world of harmony. And the tarot is the most ancient way of accessing this technology that's actually written in your blood. Tarot means royal path. It's the path that we're all on. There's only one. I need some more water. I live in the desert, you guys. Stay hydrated wherever you are. Okay, so whatever you're going through. It doesn't even have to be a trying experience or an experience where you're embodying vice or somebody is. It could be a positive experience, okay? Because I don't want to just, I want to expand on this vision for you guys here. I know I'm sharing about transforming vice to virtue, but I want you to know that the allies are there for you in every moment, okay? I know a lot of people are like, no, I don't need a reading, I'm great. That's fine, we're always great, we're always fine. What the reading does, it just reflects to you an affirmation of what you already know, because nothing's new under the sun and it's all within you. And a true tarot reader will tell you that in any moment you can pull out the cards and all you're doing is creating like a mirror reflection in symbolic form. So it's always great to have further affirmation, okay? I know people who will say, oh, it's 11/11, so what? Who cares? I've been seeing that forever. And it's like, what? I'll take every alignment anywhere in nature or in technology as an opportunity to insert gratitude. I might not be surprised that there are alignments, but I'll be excited and I'll use those alignments as opportunities to further align. Okay? So that's my point. So you can use the archetypal alliance, not just a deck of cards, but like the perspectives that those cards represent as they exist inside of you. You can tap into those perspectives, into that alliance in any moment. There's never a wrong way to do it, and there's never you can never do it enough. They always want to be connected to, okay? And to put it to you in another way, look at it like this, you guys. These perspectives or these archetypes within, they each are connected to a keynote of the universe. Each of these archetypes is connected to a frequency of virtue, and we just said the virtues are the rivers that lead us back home to the all virtuous light, to compassion, that ring of unbroken light. Okay, so if each of these characters represents a different frequency, then not only am I not going to be like, I don't need a reading, I'm going to be like, ooh, let me connect with these archetypes as often as possible. Because when I connect with these archetypes, I'm connecting with these virtues, which connects me to God, Creator, Source. See what I'm saying? So it's like, I want to be with them all the time. And that's why I do this work. And that's why you guys see me doing all these videos. People are like, oh, you do so many free videos. Yeah, this is me. Like, I would be doing this journaling anyway. But I want to share it. And so the reason I share everything that I do with you guys, and the reason I created the Royal Path group, and the reason I write the books that I write and share with you guys is because, oh my God, you guys, it's like, it's right here under our noses, and everybody's searching on the path. You're already on the royal road. You're already on the royal path. So it's just about deepening your awareness of what's already here now, and the technology that is available to you. It's at your fingertips. It's inside of you. So this is why I do this, so that we could share this knowledge and this power together, because it's nothing on our own. Like, we need each other, because when we do this work on an individual level, it's amazing, but when we do it together, it's beyond our wildest dreams. It's everything. It's why we're here. Okay, so again, with that said, it's like you can tap into the archetypes at any moment. Okay, and when you tap into them, not just for like guidance, but for confirmation, for companionship, you stop feeling so alone all the time, and you remember all one. Instead of alone, you remember we're all one. And then you don't develop the codependency that you see at such a high level within our collective mind. You don't even have opportunities to be in that frequency of codependency or anything that comes out, all that yucky stuff. It's not allowed, because when you connect with the archetypes as much as possible, and you keep them there, your alliance, and you tap in, that's you tapping in to the frequencies of virtue again and again. And the more you do that, the more you form bonds with these characters that live in you, these bonds with these frequencies or keynotes of the universe that live within you, the more you create a bond with yourself and all of life, because they're the building blocks of all of reality. So yeah, sure, go ahead and continue telling me how I don't want a reading, I don't need it. When we're talking about Kabbalistic tarot, we're not talking about, is my boyfriend gonna leave me? We're talking about tapping into the roots of creation, fortifying your own connection to Source, bettering your life each moment, not just in any one particular one, but for eternity, which encompasses all moments. That's the kind of tarot that I'm talking about. I don't know what kind of tarot you're talking about, but I hope we can start talking about the same tarot, the one Royal Path. And so you see what I'm saying? The more you tap, they're waiting. These archetypes, They're you, and they're within all things, and they're crying out, begging for your cooperation, for your friendship, for your companionship, for you to be their ally. You think you need their help? They need you too, just as much, because without our human vessels, the light of the virtues or the light of these archetypes, their power has no vessel to come through and be actualized, crystallized in this reality. So remember that, you guys. They need us, they, meaning these frequencies of light, need us as much as we need them. And when you start to think in that way, it really changes everything. So tap in. And the more you develop the bonds with them, as I said, the more you develop a closeness with nature and the universe, of course, because you become attuned to it, you align with it, you bond with it. And as each of these different virtues you get attuned to them, as you practice each of them, they start to bond within you. And as the different virtues piece together and start bonding, they create a synergy. And when they create a full synergy and you keep growing that, what that reflects is the light of compassion. Because remember, each of these virtues is a piece of that all virtuous light. So as you continue the work and you start to develop each of the virtues, they work together inside of you and they form this alliance which reflects the light of the Creator. I love you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for being with me on this. So important. All right, now I just want to go through the list a little bit more quickly. That first one I kind of used as a catalyst to talk about some of the deeper stuff. I'm gonna move through the rest quickly, just give some examples and then have a little bit more to say and then out of here to start the rest of the day. Okay, we just talked about lust. Let's talk about gluttony. Oh my God, you guys, there are 80 people together right now. This is awesome. I love this. Let's talk about gluttony. What is the neutralizing force? With lust, we had chastity. Okay, so, we didn't finish that up though. We should finish that up. When you're feeling a frequency of lust and you tap into the archetypes, you ask, what do I do with this? The archetypes will basically tell you, in short, once you've gone through them all, and you get better and better and quicker with this because it becomes effortless. Okay, but it starts with, they tell you, remember the most basic things, like you're here on a mission, you're here to use your power for the greater good. So how can you use the lust to serve that, okay? And then you want to keep in mind its neutralizing force, which is chastity, okay? Is it going to serve you to express this lust? Is it going to bring us to a deeper understanding of chastity? Like, is it going to serve you to be in that lustful frequency and express that? Or is it going to do you more good to restrain that and go straight to the chastity? And really envision yourself doing both and be honest and go with whatever it feels, because if your intuition tells you to go with the vice, trust that. As long as you're not going to hurt anybody. If you're going to hurt someone, remember, l'chaim, life is the greatest blessing. It's more important than anything else. Okay? So remember that. If you're going to do something that's going to hurt somebody, you best go straight to that virtue. Okay? But if something in your intuition is saying, no, like this is something that I need to do, I need this experience. Like, for example, if you're about to sleep with someone, okay? Now, if you have a partner, that's where that's crossing the line, okay? Because now you're going to create mostly it's because you're creating a conflict within yourself. It's not even about the outside details. It's about deep inside, you're breaking a rule or you're doing something wrong, and that's what's going to manifest later. It's going to turn into shame and guilt. Do you see? It's all inside of you. You are your own judge. You are your own judge. Remember that. Okay? So if you're in that space, you're about to sleep with someone and you have a partner, of course not. If you sleep with that person, it's going to hurt someone, of course not. But if you're not going to hurt anyone, but you're having this struggle of should I even do this? And if something tells you to do it, that's for you to determine. Will you be able to use this information from this experience? Will you be able to use this experience as a lesson in some way? Will it ultimately serve your expansion? How so? You know what I mean? So don't let anyone else tell you what your choice should be. The only perspectives you should be tuning into are the ones that live within yourself, and that's the archetypes. That's the archetypes. And so people outside of you, remember they're just you, are reflections of you trying to get you to go this way or that, to just test you. It's a beautiful thing. You don't need to resist. You don't need to look outside of yourself and say, would everybody just shut up already? Well, why is it bothering you? You don't need to create so much anxiety before you even exit your house because you're worried about how everyone's gonna give you their 2 cents. So what? Take all their cents and turn it into big money. and buy them something nice with it later. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why do we, as humans, waste so much time fretting over those things when we could be using all that energy to just put our most confident foot forward? So don't be worried. Remember, like, laugh at yourself. Oh my God, look at me stressing out at what somebody's going to say. But what? It's more ammo. It's more fuel for you to use on this light mission, whatever you want to call it. So go out there into the world and remember everyone is you. And when you remember everything is one, everything from there is easy, right? Maybe not. But when you remember that these people are you, not only do you not resist what they have to say, you welcome it, because it's all just, everything has truth within it, and you know that. And so you're able to hear what's behind their words, or feel the truth that's hidden within the fear. It's all just information, and if you use information for the highest good, then all of it's useful. Then all of it becomes useful. Then you sanctify even the shittiest shit that comes your way. So don't be afraid. Welcome those perspectives, okay? When somebody says, oh yeah, like it's like the devil and angel on the shoulder, yeah, like sleep with that person. And the other one's like, don't do that, you know? Remember to listen to your own angels and demons within your own head, because there's enough right there for you to deal with, okay? People are gonna say things anyway. It's all just information. It's all just reflections of the demons and angels that live in your own mind anyway. So don't be afraid of it. Embrace it all. Take it for what you will. Make the best of it. But always look to the voices within, because they're right there waiting for you. They're waiting to be heard. Okay, so moving to the next vice to virtue, it's gluttony versus temperance. Okay, so, and this is these are all big ones, you guys. This is where all the work lies, in just these 7 right here. Gluttony, we are such a gluttonous society. I mean, do I really need to even explain it? Okay, and moderation or temperance is the key to balancing that, to saying, okay, you know what, I've been doing so much, now I'm gonna do a little less. Okay, I've been eating so much, I'm gonna eat a little less. I've been listening to so much music, I'm gonna take a little silence. I've been talking so much, I'm gonna listen a little more. Or I've been listening a little too much, I'm gonna express my voice more. You see, it's up to you to pay attention. No one's gonna follow you around all day to see what your shitty habits are and what your addictions are and what your attachments are. Girl, boy, you gotta face that yourself. You better take note. You better stay observant. You better at least take a mental note. Shit, take out your notepad if you can, because doing this act is powerful. Writing words, scribes, is very powerful. You know, that's why very high, holy people were given that role as a scribe in ancient times. You are your own scribe. That's an archetype within you as well. So carry the notepad if it helps. Do whatever you have to do to take note and stay observant of when you are being gluttonous. No one's gonna do that for you. And you don't want to pay a therapist to have to do that for you. And even they can't do that for you. They're not following you around into the bathroom, right? Some desperate people, that's where they'll take their food out of their bag and shove it in their face, or do drugs in the bathroom, right? Like, you'll find a way to hide it, because even your therapist or whomever you think is helping you, you know, it's all you. You can't hide from self. There ain't no hiding place from the Father of creation, right? So Bob Marley said it. So they've been saying it. We, one voice, have been saying it since the beginning of time. Okay, so remember, gluttony, look for that, be excited. Where am I doing too much? And remember, your power is temperance, moderation. It's the opposite force. So don't run away from gluttony. Look at where you're being gluttonous and go, ooh, perfect opportunity for me to be the alchemist I came here to be. And I'm gonna go straight toward that gluttony, and I'm gonna do what's right for me. And I'm going to give it that opposite energy of temperance. I'm gonna restrict, I'm gonna hold back. I'm gonna do the opposite so I can balance the scales. And again, tune into the archetypes, tune into the alliance. What would they say if you're like, let's say you're binge eating, right? Because this is a huge one for our society. Let's say you're binge eating, mindless eating. That's when you, first of all, become present here now. Otherwise, you can't do anything from there. And you tap into the archetypes. What would they tell you? Okay? There's literally an archetype called temperance. There's a tarot card called temperance, you guys. It's card number 14, and it's known in ancient Egypt as the alchemist. There's literally a tarot card for this, okay? You could look it up. Temperance, look it up. Look at the imagery, look at the symbols in there. They're powerful. They will help you do the work. Because the tarot cards, you guys, they're the symbols that are on them, the art, they're particular symbols that help you get this information in, or tap into this information that's already there, in a way that bypasses your ego mind. So divination is very sacred and powerful. when you use it for the highest good. Okay? So again, when you feel gluttonous and you're able to stop yourself and at least observe it, where you go from there depends upon your ability to tap into those higher perspectives. So call upon the temperance card, for example, and say, hey, what should I do in this moment? Well, remember, the temperance card, remember, comes before the devil. Okay, why is that? Why does 14 temperance come before 15 the devil? It's a sequence. It's saying that depending upon that balance or imbalance, right, will determine our next set of lessons, which is what the devil represents, our prison that we learn from, that we put ourselves in short. Okay, so the temperance card would tell you when you're shoving those cookies in your face and you're like, whoa, and that whoa is that inner voice that's going, let's look at this. And you become aware and you tap into temperance. You say, whoa, what should I do here? Temperance say, well, the devil's coming up soon for you, bro. What do you want? How do you want it to be? How hard do you want it to be? Okay, it's like the temperance card has his glasses on and his pen and his paper because he knows he's a scribe. Okay, you should too. And you're asking him, hey, temperance, what do I do here? I'm shoving cookies in my face. He'll go, well, I'm actually writing the script for your future here. And again, this is a part of you. It's not anyone else writing the script. It's you, babe, okay? And this is the aspect of you that's writing the script over here. Hey, temperance, what do I do about this little binge sesh I'm having here? And temperance says, oh, well, I'm writing that part right now. So should we write in here that you're going to gain an extra 300 pounds, you're going to develop this sickness and illness due to your being overweight, then you're going to break a leg because you tripped on something because you were too heavy, and then you're going to have a foggy mind. Yeah, you're not going to be able to help anyone anymore, like the way that you've been helping people and serving, you're going to not serve anymore. Oh, and now you're going to actually lose your sense of purpose and you're going to be depressed. That's the script you're going to write in that moment, okay? That's how the temperance card walks you through this, by freaking slapping some sense into you and saying, you're writing the script. What do you think? What do you think? What do you want? What do you think you should do in this moment? And again, you guys, you don't need the card to freaking get that. But my goodness, at this point in our society, to where we've come to, it certainly helps. Because we get so caught up in material entanglement. We think this is easy to remember, but it's not. It's not. We've fallen, you guys, and it's perfect. Because now the world is chock full of opportunity to do this work. We wrote this. Collectively, we wrote the script. Our collective temperance archetype, that one who writes the script, it's us. We're doing it right here, right now. So let's ask temperance, what should we do in this moment? And temperance says, learn about me and learn about how you can access this wisdom in all moments to guide you forever. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, so let's continue moving through. And then you have greed. When you feel greedy, when you feel like you don't want to share something, ask why. Go deeper, because it's not always about what it looks like on the outside. The feeling is meant to just guide you, okay? So when you feel the feeling of greed and you're able to, snap into presence, you want to observe that and ask, why am I feeling greedy? What voice needs to be heard in there? Maybe there's a part of you that wasn't shared with as a kid. Maybe one of your parents was greedy. Maybe you had a greedy sibling or one experience when you were 3 about someone's greed that was super freaking traumatic. Okay, so it doesn't pay to look away when you feel greedy and to just give into it. It's not going to do anything for anyone. On the contrary, when you stay present and you face that greed, again, don't be afraid of it, look at it. And you face it with compassion. And wow, the gems that are there to be discovered. You may be able to right then and there in that first try, break multiple traumatic programs that were guiding your every experience and choice in thought, word, and action. And right there in that one moment, just because you chose to move from vice to virtue, you transformed not just your life, but our shared world. Okay, so when you feel greedy, ask what's going on there. What can be healed in that moment, okay? And then if there's something that's not ready to be shared, for example, and you're like, why can't I share this? Maybe that greed is directing you not to, because it's telling you that person doesn't need it, or it's not going to be good for them, or something, whatever it is. You got to tune in. You got to tune in because the truth is right there, okay? Then on the other hand, and this is usually the case, there will be a greedy feeling that arises. You become aware of it, and it becomes an opportunity for you to insert the neutralizing force, which is charity. In Hebrew, there's a word for this. It's called tzedakah, and this is like a pillar in the culture. It's charity and tzedakah. And a righteous person in Hebrew is called a tzaddik, because he who is righteous is giving. Because God, Allah, Hashem, source, the force, is all giving. The source doesn't receive unless it's through its creations, us. That's why being human is freaking glorious. Because we can dedicate everything that we receive through our our pleasurable and painful life experience, all in the name of the Creator. Okay, so the Creator is all giving. And so we want to be like that. And so when we feel greed, we have the opportunity to instead give charity and be like a tzaddik, become righteous through the act of giving. Okay, so when you feel greed, ask yourself, is there a way that I can release this greed by giving, by opening up, by surrendering the thing that I was so attached to, okay? Like oftentimes, like a good example is a parent will say, don't touch that, you know, you might ruin that. But will the child really? Like, is it really something that could break? Oftentimes it's actually not, but we're so conditioned to just, no, and take it away, and, whoa, don't do that. You know, how can we be more inclusive? How can we be more charitable? How can we be more willing to give what we have where maybe someone needs it more? Maybe you do need the thing. Maybe it's still serving you, but can it serve somebody more in any given moment? Is there an opportunity being presented to you where you can choose to move from the contraction of greed to the openness of charity? Like, you know what? It's really not going to hurt me to allow you to use this thing for 5 minutes that's going to enhance your life. And then you'll just give it back to me and boom, it's done. Because when that person's life is enhanced, then our shared life is enhanced, okay? So wherever there's a chance to transform your greed into charity, do it. And again, tap into the alliance. They will tell you how. You ask, start with the Fool. Okay, how do I move from greed to charity? You'll ask the Fool. The Fool will tell you, are you kidding me? You come from an infinite source, okay? If you look at the card, for example, the traditional Rider-Waite Fool card has the sun at its zenith. It's a white sun at its highest point in the sky. And it's showing a connection between you and this infinite source of power and light. And so the Fool would say, what you gotta be greedy for? You got everything. The heck? What you afraid to lose? And then you move to the Magician. And you say, Magician, how do I move from greed to charity? And the Magician is like this, right? Gets power from God and moves it down. If you look at the card, it's like this. He's also the letter Aleph. There's an Aleph hidden in that card. Okay, so he's like this. And the Magician would tell you, you're literally here to be giving. Like, did you forget your purpose? Like, why you're even channeling this power? Like, you're here to give. Okay? And then you'd move on to your inner High Priestess. And you could ask her the same thing. How do I move from greed to charity? And the inner High Priestess is the keeper of the two within you. Yes, she's your intuition, but who is the intuition? But the voice of the mother and father within, right? The Elohim. So the High Priestess would say to you, well, obviously being charitable is what's going to bring you back to that frequency of embodying the Holy Mother and Father. Obviously being charitable is what's right. Being greedy is going to close you up from access to your intuition. It's not going to serve anyone. Okay, these are just examples. It's up to you to develop relationships and bonds with each of these archetypes so that you can have your own process of how you walk through it, how you talk to them, how you communicate, however you communicate with them. It doesn't even have to be words, you guys. I'm just giving examples that are relatable, okay? So then let's say you move on to the Empress, card 3. She's also known as the Unveiled Isis. You're like, how do I move from greed to charity? And she would say, first of all, she's sitting on a throne in the card and there's abundance all around her. It's beautiful in nature everywhere. There's wheat at her feet, a harvest that's abundant. And there's waters flowing and green trees and she's relaxing and there's like Venus symbol next to her and all this luxury and a starry crown upon her head with the 12 stars, okay, showing that she has it all. She has it all. So she would say, you have everything. And you didn't, it's not even yours, it's ours. Our Heavenly Father and Earthly Mother and Heavenly Mother and Earthly Father, because they're all, gave us this. And you're here to share it. Okay, so these are just some examples, okay? Number 4, I just want to go one deeper with that because it gets deeper as you go through the sequence. Okay, that's why I'm not just that's why this video is not just 2 minutes long. So for those 80 of you who are still watching, thank you for being here because it's not something I could say in 2 seconds. You feel me? Okay, so let's just move on to number 4 because I think this one will be super awesome to reveal. You go to the Emperor, aka the Sovereign, card 4 in the tarot, who is inside of you, okay? So I'm not saying you actually have to pull out the card, but it's certainly helpful. Just ask, Emperor, I invoke thee, however you want to tap in. And you say to this archetype who's inside of yourself, this angle of mind, how do I move from greed to charity? And the Emperor would say, would a king hoard all his stuff? Well, yeah, there have been many kings that have done that. And what happened to their empires? They have all fallen. They have all fallen. And there are some falling as we speak. So when you turn to the king within, this emperor, this sovereign archetype, and you ask, how do I turn from greed to charity? The emperor would say, a good king gives to his people. A good king rules because he knows he's ruling for and with his people. That's a real king. That's the real Melech HaOlam, king of the world. That's Hebrew for king of the world. That's the real king that we want to aim to reflect, that archetype within. It's within every man and woman, child, boy, girl, whoever you are, it's within. Okay? So that one would say, we're here to give. We're here to help this kingdom function properly, and that means giving. And he would also say, I'm here to promote life, right? Because the archetype number 4, the emperor in tarot, is the one who is here to support life. First of all, it's very manipulated in modern tarot, and in modern tarot it's associated with Aries because it's got the rams, the ram horns, and all the red and the war connected to Mars. But actually, that's not true. Because remember, it's never that obvious, okay? The primary association is never that obvious. If it seems that simple, you better look again. Aries is actually the sign associated with death, because the first is implicit in the last and the last in the first, okay? Aries, being the sign associated with a death card, hints at rebirth and life again. That's why Aries is best associated, as a primary association anyway, with death card. They all have all of them within each one, but there's a proper one as our access point into each initiation. And for the emperor, it is not Aries. It's actually the opposite, okay? The emperor is the opposite of the death card, okay? Meaning, if the death is Aries, then the emperor is Scorpio. It's opposite. And another trick, you guys, emperor is number 4, death is number 13. But if you reduce 13 to a single digit, what is hidden there? 13, 1 plus 3, 4. The emperor is hidden within the death card. So the emperor represents the opposite of death, which is life. The emperor is the one who fights to preserve and protect love, life, light, truth. Okay? Now that you know a bit about this archetype, and you're feeling a frequency of greed, and you say, Emperor, I need you. How do I be charitable? How do I transform this? The emperor will come and say, slap you with a little bit of that Mars force, right? Scorpio, by the way, is the sexual magnetism that prolongs life, which is why one of the reasons why Scorpio is the archetype associated with this card. And so this emperor would slap you and say, you're here to prolong life, to protect it. And you know that being greedy is not in alignment with that. A frequency of greed, or frequency of any vice, right, for that matter, does not support longevity. It does not support the preservation of life, light, love, truth. Greed does not do that. And the emperor would say, no, if you want me to be your ally, it's like this, no. If you want me to be your ally and you want me to open up to you, you better show me that I can trust you, because the virtues, they don't waver. They can't. They're not actually personified like we create them. We only personify them and give them these attributes so that we can connect to them and relate. Otherwise, we have no path to connect to them. We have no neural pathway to access these perspectives, right? But they're not like us. They don't actually say these little words and go back and forth and whatever. They don't say, I don't remember my mission. That's ridiculous. They all know where they're headed. Each river leads back to the ocean, so each virtue leads back to compassion, and it knows that. And so this virtue would look at you like, yeah, I'm here to help you. Emperor says, yeah, I'm here to help you, but are you going to support my mission? Because if not, then not only am I not going to give you that power to progress, I'm going to burn you. I'm going to give you the negative end of my spectrum so that you can learn what you need to learn in order to come back to this place and choose differently next time. You see what I'm saying? So this is how all archetypes work. If you're not willing to join them on this mission, if you're not ready to align your small will with that of the divine, they won't serve you. God helps those who help themselves. This is just written into the laws of nature and the universe. There's no bypassing this. You can't cheat. You can't cut corners on this path. Okay? So the emperor would say, no, I'm not going to give you my power. I'm not going to give you my fighting power and my Mars force if you're going to use it for that. Like, I'll give you just enough so that you can learn your lesson, okay? So again, when you ask the emperor, what do I do? I'm feeling greedy. Of course, he's going to say, you have to be charitable. Greed is not in alignment with preserving life, love, and truth. And so obviously you need to insert the opposite force. Wherever that greed is, do your best to open up more, open up your heart, open up your mind, and be giving. Because when you're charitable, the emperor says, that's my girl, that's my boy. You're willing to be charitable and do right with this energy, then I'm gonna keep I'm going to stay connected to you, and I'm going to keep feeding you this energy. I'm going to keep nurturing you. This is what the Emperor says. He says, I'm going to keep nurturing you because you nurture me and the one. And you're willing to do charitable things. And if you're really willing, then I'm going to help you out. And together, this alliance is going to make it effortless for you. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, so moving to the next one. We've done 3, so we just got 4 more. And let's see. Maybe I'll skip to some of the later tarot cards toward the end of the sequence, just so you could get more of an example. This is like a crash course right here, you guys. Okay? Something told me to do this today, so I'm really enjoying it. I hope you are too. Okay, moving on from sloth to diligence. Again, all of these are relatable. It doesn't matter who you are. Okay, so moving on to sloth. When you feel lazy, when you feel like you don't want to do those things that you know in your heart of hearts you have to do, that's an opportunity for you to A, call in your awareness, call in your presence, and say, what's up? I'm recognizing this vice of slothiness, right? And how can I use this energy for the highest good? The opposite of sloth is diligence. How can I get my shit together right now and actually be diligent and not just sit here and be a sloth, right? And so we call upon the archetypes and we ask, how do I do that? How do I just get up and do what I have to do, right? Like, who would have a message? They all have a message for you as far as this, okay? They all have a message for you as far as this. Let's pick one. Let's pick card number 18. Let's just pick a random one. 18 is the moon, okay? So when you feel lazy in that moment, you can ask the moon card. Who is the moon? The moon is the card in you that represents that shadow, the subconscious, the work that needs to be done so that you can transform into the sun. The work to be done to transform to the sun. Because the moon card turns into the sun. 18 moves to 19, okay? So 18 is that spot where you look at your shadow and see the reprogramming that needs to be done before you can shine at your next level of radiance, okay? And the moon would say, you gotta do the work. You can't be a sloth. You've got to do the work. You can't just lay there, bro. Like, you gotta get up. Sis, you gotta get up. You gotta do the work. You have to be willing to go deep into yourself to do the programming that needs to be done, and that requires work. That's what the moon would say to you. Okay, let's look at another one. Let's look at 13, death. Slothiness, okay? Death card, the Reaper, aka the Reaper, would tell you, you're here to support the change that's happening inside of you and all around you, right? Because death is really rebirth, is really change. The death card, the secret to that card is transformation. It's not really about the death or rebirth, it's about the constant transformation, okay? So this archetype would say to you, what are you waiting for? Get up off your ass. You can't be a sloth. You have to remember your mission, and we have to get up and assist our bodies, assist our minds, assist each other, assist the earth with what needs to be done right now in order for us to change, shift, grow. Seasons always turning, cycles always shifting. How can we support? There's always work to be done. Sometimes you need to relax, and that's the irony, you guys. But you know in your heart and in your mind, you know, can't lie to yourself. You know when you're being lazy or when you're needing rest, okay? Real justified rest means rest that is doing something for the creator. It means that when you're resting or doing nothing, that's actually doing something good for the creator. Okay, so rest is actually, it looks very peaceful on the outside, but when you're really resting in a way that's for the creator, on the inside so much is happening. Assimilation is happening, and there's a tarot card for that. That's the Four of Swords, actually, and it's all about assimilation, and it's all about integration, and it's about resting so you can catch up with yourselves, because if we just keep skipping ahead, we miss out on a very important part of the process of transformation. Because remember, like a butterfly is first a caterpillar, and it goes inside the cocoon. Wow, looks so peaceful, resting. No, what's going on inside of there is huge. It's the biggest work they'll ever do. They freaking digest themselves, for God's sakes. Okay, so that's when rest, that's a sign that you know you're resting and not just being a sloth. You gotta be honest with yourself. Okay, because diligence is required, the opposite of sloth, is required for real change. But sometimes that diligence or that hard work looks like being patient and resting, because sometimes that's really hard to do. And I think that's obvious for all of us in this busy present day society. So rest and assimilation is a key part of the process of transformation, if not the most important part, which is why that card is called death, because death is just really a temporary rest or change of vessels. Okay, moving on, wrath to forgiveness, transforming wrath to forgiveness. When you feel angry, again, the vice is telling you something. Don't just try to beat it down. Hear yourself, look at yourself. Hopefully you sit with that anger with somebody who is supportive and who you're not ready to bite their head off, okay? This is something you want to do before, as much as possible at least, you want to do before you find yourselves in sticky situations where you're at risk for really hurting someone, even just their feelings, hurting their feelings. So really sit with this one. When you feel angry, take the space you need to reflect in solitude, or be with professionals, or be with people who you trust and whom you can reflect with and express your truth. And then ask, what is that message there within the anger? What does it have to tell you? What can you get out of it? What can you squeeze out of it? And then from there, how can you use it? How can you look at it to understand yourself better, and to understand that the deepest part of you actually doesn't want to be in that frequency of wrath. It wants to forgive and relax, right? So then you would ask the archetypes, how do I move from wrath to forgiveness, right? And let's say we go to card number 7. It's called the Chariot or the Conqueror, okay? There's different names for it. The Merkaba, the Chariot, the Conqueror. And this is the card where it looks like a charioteer in a chariot, and there are 2 sphinxes, a black and a white. There's many different depictions, of course, but in the Rider-Waite classic. And there are no reins on the sphinxes. The sphinx represents the passage of time. Boy, I could do an hour-long class on just the sphinx alone. In fact, I have. Reach out if you want to hear it. But the sphinx represents the passage of time. There are no reins. The image has a canopy of stars. The whole idea there is that we are all these charioteers traveling through time and space, both inwardly and outwardly. There's really no in and out, actually. So we're not really tied to time. It's just a construct within our minds. And the travel that really is important is the traveling that we do in mind and heart, in expansion of those things, of the mind and the heart. So if we were to ask this archetype, now that you heard a little bit about it, how do I move from wrath to forgiveness? Tell me, charioteer, how do I do that? Okay, this charioteer would say, the wrath should sit with you, the anger should sit with you only so long as you're going to get something out of it. Okay, but in order to be that conqueror, okay, because the charioteer is known as the conqueror, and in order to move toward forgiveness, we need to remember what we're really here to conquer. We're not really here to we're not here to conquer anything other than the lower aspects of ourselves. We're here to look at that wrath and that anger and transform it. That's what true attainment looks like, okay? The charioteer, the chariot is the number 7 in the deck. And I said this at the beginning of the video, 7 is the number of spiritual attainment. So if you're asking this part of yourself, that part would tell you, we're here to be successful in conquering the lower parts of ourselves. So we need to feel that motivation to really, first of all, even want to move from wrath to forgiveness, okay? And then you could ask number 9, the hermit, aka the sage. How do I move from anger to forgiveness? And the sage would say, well, how is the anger going to serve you? Is the anger teaching you anything at this time? The hermit, aka the sage, is the one who is able to be in solitude, look at the bigger picture of things, step back and not be fooled by all the noise of the world, but step back and be able to come to this place of circumspection, to be able to see the truth of the bigger picture. What would that archetype say to you? You're like, old sage, tell me, how do I move from anger to forgiveness? And the sage would say, do whatever you have to do to get there. We're in this together, okay? The sage, the hermit, is number 9. It's all about completion, humanitarian, our mission and our purpose. And that one would say to you, you have to do whatever you have to do. You have to put in the work. Be wise. You know that wrath and anger is not going to do anything. What will forgiveness do? Think about that. The sage would tell you, go to have some time with yourself. Sit in solitude. Look at this situation. Look at your wrath. And ask yourself, if I were to instead transform this into forgiveness, what would that look like? What would that feel like? And the sage would tell you, you need this time to yourself, in nature, in solitude. Otherwise, you're going to be so consumed by the noises of the world. You need to be in the quiet for this, is what the sage would tell you. So they give you very specific advice. Okay? He'll say, take some time. Really think about this. Envision yourself being forgiving. And then compare that to what you feel and look like when you're in the frequency of wrath. And which one do you think is really going to serve humanity or serve all beings? That's how the sage would talk to you, okay? Let's move on. Envy versus kindness, okay? Let's pick one. Somebody comment and let me know a number 0 through 22. A number 0 through 22. Anybody, give me a number. There's 90 of you. Someone give me a number 0 through 22. I'll take the first one I see. 21. Okay. Thank you. So 21 is in the tarot called the universe or the world. Okay. And this is the card where you've come to the end of the sequence and you've manifested your, battery power low. You've manifested your next level of initiation. You're reaching some level of completion. But remember, once the story ends, it begins again. You go back to the Fool, the Magician, etc. Okay? But that's toward the end here. If you're going to say, how do I move from envy to kindness? Right here, this is what that archetype could start with. Well, let's say he's talking to me. I'm like, hey, world, universe card, number 21, what's your advice for me? And remember, when I do that, I'm tapping into a frequency that's within all things because each card represents that. So I'm really talking to the universe and that frequency within all things. That's how expansive this work is, okay? And I ask 21, or specific frequency that I'm tapping into right now, how do I move from envy to kindness? And that one would say, you're literally wasting your time with envy. How are you ever going to reach your goal of being the next best version of who you are by sitting with envy? You should only be inspired by that which maybe at first triggered envy. How can you turn your envy into kindness and appreciation for that which led to inspiration for you to reach this next level of your being? Okay, the 21, the world card, would say, hey, do you want me? You want the world in your hands? Then envy is never going to serve you. It's literally just going to serve as a distraction, pulling you away from doing whatever you need to do to manifest whatever that is that you're envious of for yourself. Okay, by the way, guys, I have whole videos on each of these vices, and I go way deep into each of them. So reach out anytime if you want access to those videos, or follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/RebeccaMagic. Okay, so again, the world would say you're wasting your time. If you want to get to this next level of attainment, you got to remember, like one of the commandments, right? I shall not envy, or however it's worded, right? Instead of I shall not, I love this. This is an idea from Emmett Fox's book, The 10 Commandments. He writes, instead of seeing the commandment as I shall not envy, see it as I cannot. Why? Because there's only one here. How foolish to envy some other part of yourself. That's like saying, oh, wow, I really like that arm. I wish I could have it. It's literally crazy that we do this. Like we cheat, we steal, we lie. We do all these things to ourselves because there's not a one part of this thing that's not you, boo. So when you start to look at it like that, it starts to pull that veil from all those delusions and all those lies we've been telling ourselves about who we are and what this place is. So again, the world card would say, it's futile. What do you mean you shall not envy? I cannot. There's only one here. Okay? And the world card would say, kindness in those situations where you want to just be envy, kindness is better because then you're giving a loving, higher frequency, feeding that kindness toward that situation that you want to see manifest for yourself, right? So like if you're loving on something, you're giving appreciation, kindness, compassion to something that maybe you were previously jealous of. What you're doing is telling the universe, I'm grateful for this thing and I want more of it in my life. So it's not just like, oh, you're being kind. Like, yeah, you are, but also you're doing something very powerful here, you guys. It's not just like you're now being kind. Like you're also transforming yourself into a more powerful, more giving, more loving person who's going to manifest what you actually want. Okay? You see, it's power. It's not just transforming vice into virtues. It's like transforming your life, transforming the world, becoming powerful, being enlivened with your purpose, living a longer life, living a stress-free life. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's do the last one. Pride to humility. Let's say there's a moment where you want to be proud and you want to express that pride. Ask yourself, is it going to be helpful for those around you to receive that expression? And then from there, ask yourself, well, how should I word it? Let me make sure that if I'm going to express this pride, I at least do it in a way that's humble, in a way that's going to further inspire others, not in a way that it's going to be received as egoic pride. Okay, so when you feel very proud, ask yourself, okay, is this a moment for me to insert humility? Bring in that balance. And another way to look at this is like, especially when you feel so proud. Oh, I got this. Oh, I get this now. I don't need to do this work anymore. Whoa. That's where we need to look again, because the initiation is never ending. There's always a deeper layer. So even if you really do got it, be careful how long you spend in that frequency of pride, because you will get knocked off your horse. You will get knocked off your horse. In fact, you may get knocked off and keep getting kicked and not even realize it because you're so busy being in your delusion of egoic pride. So instead, if you feel proud of yourself, that's okay, but say, cool, like I did this, I acknowledge it, good job. Now how am I going to allow that pride to serve me? I'm not just going to stay there, just like I wouldn't stay in any other frequency, because the only constant in life is change. And if you're staying anywhere too long, if you're stagnant, it's like water. If it's not running, it's bad. It's going to freaking get rancid. Move the energy, right? So if you're feeling like you're proud of yourself, ask yourself why and dissect that, and then use that pride to motivate you to keep going, or to motivate others to keep going. Use it for lishma, for the sake of the Creator, okay? And humble yourself. So in those moments where you feel like, I really aced this challenge, ask, okay, how can I be humble and see that there's still more opportunities for me to go deeper with this challenge? There's still, now that I've got it, okay, I may understand it now, but the gnosis is in the second part of the process, which is in the experience. So you might feel like you got it, but until you practice it in the world, stay humble. And even then, stay humble. You see what I'm saying? It's never going to serve you to sit in a frequency of pride. It doesn't serve. You sit in those frequencies so long. See, people will be like, pride, that's not a bad thing. None of these are, you guys. Lust is not necessarily bad. Sloth, gluttony, greed, wrath, envy, pride, none of them are bad. Until you start transforming that definition, you will not be able to do this work. None of these are bad. They're good so long as they serve us and serve the Creator. So sit with that pride until you make the most of that observation, that self-reflection, and then move on to humility as fast as you can. Again, the archetypes will help you with this, okay? Some more examples. When you're out there in the world and you're trying to detect vice so that you can do this cool alchemy to transform it into virtue, you want to look to those times when you feel the most lust, when you feel the most gluttony, where you feel the most greed, the most laziness, the most anger, the most jealousy, and the most pride. Skip to that. Where is your life saturated with vice? Don't just go to where there's a little jealousy. Start with the brunt of it. Start with the brunt of it, and it will be a lot easier for you. You know this. Across the board, that's the way things work. Start with the brunt of it. Go to where there's an abundance of vice. Don't be afraid. Then it's going to be much easier for you in the end. And remember, the harder it is, the greater the potential for alchemy and transformation. Okay? That pain is potential. It's potential. Don't be a masochist. I'm not saying you're telling you to be a masochist, but don't be afraid of the potential that's within the pain. Okay? So, for example, don't just give charity when it's easy to. Wow, I just made $5 million. I won the lottery. I'm going to give $1 to this charity over here. Look at me. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so charitable. You know what I'm saying? Don't give when it's easy. Give when it's hard to give. Because that transformation is what does it. Okay, I was listening to this talk with a rabbi the other day. I love what he shared. He was saying how a true tzaddik, a righteous one, doesn't just give. Anybody can just give and be a good person, but a real righteous person is one who gives when it's not easy, who's willing to sacrifice to give to someone or something. A person who's willing to give up what they got for someone else. A person that's willing to take the shoes off of their feet for someone else. You know what I'm saying? It's oh yeah, good for you that you gave that money, but how much do you really have though? You know what I'm saying? This is you see this all the time in the 1% of society. They're oh, my loyal subjects take these gifts. That doesn't make you a good person. What are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to be uncomfortable? Are you willing to feel another's pain? Because that's empathy, because that's compassion, because that's a true tzaddik or righteous person. What do you really have to lose? Then come talk to me, right? So going back to that idea, guys, we could apply this all day. Where is it the hardest to do good? Where is it the hardest to be good? Where is it the hardest to be in that frequency of virtue? Where is it hard for you to be honest? Where is it hard for you to be chaste? Where is it hard for you to give charity? Where is it hard for you to be kind or humble? Go straight there and be excited, because that's the transformation awaits you. Okay? So when you're feeling like you want to lie, for example, or when you're feeling impatient, any of these things, okay? You want to really sit with that discomfort, make the most of it, all right? Remember, it's not bad, it's there to show you things. So listen closely, pay attention. And then you want to transform it with its neutralizing force, okay? So for example, if you want to lie, and you can think of, your ego will think of all the reasons why you should lie. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be like your ego is going to sit there and tell you all the reasons why you should do the right thing. No, you shouldn't want that. You should want the challenge. We're in this life to strengthen our will, to do good and be kind. That's why we're here, to strengthen our will and align it with the will of the one. So you bet your ass that when you're feeling like, damn, I really want to lie right now, I want to be dishonest, your ego is going to support that. It's going to be like, yeah, let's keep that up. Yeah, let's do that. Because more lessons. Let's go. Keep going, right? That's a good thing. That's how the ego should operate. That's how it is. And then you're meant to defy that. And despite that adversity, you're meant to conquer it. That's where the charioteer comes in, your number 7 archetype. The conqueror, and he says, nope. Especially because the ego's justifying the vice so confidently and so strongly. I'm seeing that's where my work is. So the more justifications the ego brings up, the more excuses the ego brings up as to why you should lie, the more power you should call upon from within yourself and within the alliance that lives there in your heart to come to your aid and say, no, I'm going to do the right thing. Because even if the right thing, even if it looks like it's going to bring pain or discomfort or whatever, I'm going to trust in the laws of nature and the universe, because they've never failed us. And I'm going to trust that if I do the right thing and I keep doing the right thing and defying that voice of the ego, no matter what, I'm going to keep transforming these vices into virtue, then I am contributing to the greater good, even if it doesn't look like it in this moment. And if you be honest with yourself and you project yourself into the future of what that path will bring, you will see the light at the end of the tunnel. You will see what will happen if you continue on that path of truth. You will feel better. The world will be a better place. But it takes your dedication and your willingness to be excited about this work, not just to do the work, but to be excited about doing the work, and to do it with confidence and with grace and with trust, with faith. And some things to remember, you guys, as you are the alchemist doing this work. It's going to take sacrifice and restriction. And there are some religions that show a lot of restrictions and a lot of rules, and people say, wow, that's way too extreme. That's way too extreme. But don't just discard that observation. Like, really look at that. What is the goal of all that? Why do some cultures promote such restriction and so many rules? It's not for no reason. Remember, the degree to which you restrict is equal to the degree to which you have the potential to expand. So for example, you can use those same concepts, maybe not in as much of an extreme way, but in everyday life, in small but profound ways. So when you feel like, for example, like you have to spit, then you do it. When you feel, for example, like you have lust and you want to transform that vice into virtue, all right? You want to restrict. That's where you want to use the power of sacrifice and restriction and say, no, I'm going to hold back. I'm going to restrain, right? It's like you're holding back 1,000 horses, right? I think lust is the perfect example for our society, but it's also true with all of them. When you feel like you want to be lazy, it's the same thing. When you feel like you want to be jealous, it's the same thing. But that's when you want to restrict that energy, okay? Even jealousy has that frequency. You want to restrict that, laziness, right? Because you think like, oh, you're not holding back 1,000 horses when you're lazy. But you are, okay? When you're being lazy, you're releasing that frequency of sloth, laziness, okay? And in that moment, you want to restrict that energy. So this is all an internal thing. It's all an energetic thing. It's not necessarily what it looks like on the outside. Stop looking there. Look within first, inside out, okay? So you want to come back to yourself and ask, whatever this frequency of vice is that I'm expressing, whether it's laziness, greed, lust, whatever, I'm going to restrict that. I'm going to sacrifice the desire to want to express that and be in that. That's the sacrifice. And that can be hard. Like, for example, people who are addicted to drugs. Wow, that's very physical even. And they have to restrict a very powerful force in those moments. If they can do it, you can do it. They have to restrict, they have to sacrifice the desire to give in. But what does that bring them? What does that sacrifice bring them? What does that restriction ultimately lead them to? Health, wholeness, confidence, empowerment. Maybe discomfort at first, maybe withdrawals, but in the long run, brings life, longevity. Okay, so sacrifice and restriction are so important because remember, the opposite always lies hidden within. Sacrifice brings illumination, okay? If you look at card number 12 in the tarot, this is the Hanged Man, aka the Martyr. He's upside down, but he's got a ring of illumination around his head, showing that when you sacrifice something, you receive something in return, okay? Death brings life. That's why it's a hanged man. It's just showing you the opposite. When you give something up, you get something, okay? He's upside down, showing also that he's looking at the world from a new perspective. So when you sacrifice an old program or an old perspective for a new one, there's illumination, which is showing the radiance around his crown. If you look at the card, if you Google it, go ahead, the Hanged Man. Okay, so restriction leads to expansion. Restrict, restrain. Show yourself that you are the one that is directing your will. The other thing is diligence and patience, you guys. Like this path of transforming vice to virtue, it requires real work. Okay? And if you look at card number 10 and card number 21 and you hold them next to each other, that's the wheel and the world. Even sounds similar, the wheel, the world. You'll see in the art these 4 symbols on both cards. And they are the man, the eagle, the bull, and the lion. And those 4 symbols are representing the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. They're the space holders or the pillars for the rest of the wheel to turn. They're the structure so that the spirit can move freely, okay, and safely. And so they essentially, those 4 symbols represent those 4 signs, which represent all of the signs. Which ultimately, all those signs, the zodiac wheel represents the passage of time and eternity. Because what is time? It's cyclical. That's why it's a wheel. It's turning forever. Okay? So those symbols are on both cards, but in the wheel card, they've got books. Each of these symbols is studying, and they have wings. It's showing that these qualities that we're cultivating that are represented by these signs are still in the astral. They have not been integrated yet and actualized into our being. So we're still learning, studying their qualities and learning how to allow them to move through us. Then when you get to the end of the deck, to 21, the image is very similar. However, they no longer have wings or books. It's showing the active integration, having the next stage of it anyway, having been completed. Okay? And so these 4 symbols that I'm talking to you about represent the 4 pillars on the path of initiation, on the path of the initiate, the path of the adept. So what are they? What does the man, the eagle, the bull, and the lion represent? Let's look at those 4 zodiac signs, which, by the way, are just 2 pairs of opposites. You have Aquarius and Leo, the man and the lion. And then you have Scorpio and Taurus, the eagle and the bull. Yes, Scorpio is associated with the scorpion. However, its higher form is the eagle and then ultimately the phoenix. And why it's the eagle and not the scorpion there is because it's showing the ascended version of that archetype, which is the one having purified those sexual desires associated with Scorpio. It's the purified sex and the purified desires. Okay, so that's what that one represents. That is an important, one of the key cornerstones on the path of initiation. You have to purify your desires, your sexuality. It's everything, sexuality. You have to purify that. And then the opposite of it, Taurus, is the bull, representing hard work, required to do this work, vice to virtue. You need to have that bull, okay, which you do. It's in all of us, okay? Then you have the man, representing Aquarius, intelligence. It's the intellectual. It's representing the age we're in right now. Need I say more? That's required for the path, intelligence. It's up to humans to take us to the next level. We're blessed to be human. Yes, we are. As much as you might want to leave this body and transcend this world, like, you are here to be so in it, babe. You're so beautiful in your human vessel. In all of your layers, your whole multidimensional being is perfect. And the 4th and final one is the opposite of Aquarius, which is the lion, Leo. Okay? Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus. The lion represents courage and heart. Courage is like a prerequisite for all of the virtues. If you don't have courage, you don't have what it takes to be on the path. This is sounding a little bit like the Wizard of Oz, right? You have like, if I only had a brain, right? Like Aquarius. If I only had a heart, right? Leo, right? So interesting. Like, every movie actually talks about this because all of life is expressing this, either consciously or unconsciously, because this is the foundation of all of life right here. This right here, archetypal. Everything is archetypal. Okay, so those 4 signs represent the qualities that everyone has within them and that everyone needs to develop if you want to be the magician and the alchemist that came here to transform vice to virtue. And that is you. That's who you are. You're a star. We all are. And this is what we came here to do together. You don't need to leave the body. You don't need to astral project out of this place. Babe, you're a star walking the earth right here, right now. Maybe that's why you've been struggling with out-of-body experiences, because we're in a time where we actually need you. You need you. We need we to be here now. We are literally stars, starlight, traveling the earth. Okay? When you do that, you create a neural pathway between you and this actual stars that you're looking at. And then it opens up a whole new universe. Okay? So remember those 4 signs. Remember those 4 keys. Courage and heart. Intelligence. Purified desires. And hard work. These are the keys if you want to do the work to tap into the Archetypal Alliance and transform vice into virtue. And the work is right here, right now. So begin whenever you're ready. Go at your own pace. But know that the allies are here to assist you. In fact, until you open up to them, to work together with them, you're making it a lot harder for yourself. They're here. They want to support you and they want to be supported. So remember that. And if you guys have any questions, you want to reach out, go deeper with this, please private message me. Also, you can join our private group called The Royal Path on Facebook and reach out there. And we have a really cool community of people who like to talk about this kind of stuff all the time. It's amazing. And then we also have our private group called Shabbat Crew, Shabbat, where we talk about Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah and the Torah story every weekend. It's pretty awesome. And yeah, and if you want to go deeper, you guys just look on my wall. You'll see the link to my books. Books 1 and 2 are on the major and the minor arcanum of the tarot. It's an entire and complete Kabbalistic tarot guide. So check it out. If you want a signed copy, reach out to me anytime, and I'd be happy to ship it to you. Thank you, all 100 of you who joined me in the trees in the desert today to have a talk about something so profound and beautiful. I appreciate you guys. Shalom.